Hey guys, Jen with Astrology here. Today we are talking about the astrology of October. And October is going to bring blood-curdling scares all month long. So be prepared for another wild month. It's like chock full of Mars action. So and Mars ruled signs are really at play most of this month. They're the key players. So expect more than just Halloween to have all the shocks and scares. So the solar eclipse, we start on the 2nd. So I know I'm a little bit late. I did that video first. So go back and watch it if you haven't, just because I wanted to get that out there. So we just got back from vacation. So kind of getting back into the swing of things. But so we have that solar eclipse. It's a great boost of motivation to really start the progress of making our destiny a reality. So to just kind of give us that boost, the Mars square to the eclipse, a lot of times those Mars squares, they seem very scary. They seem very, something horrible is going to happen, but it can be just that kick that we need and that uncomfortableness. So, it makes things maybe a little bit not so pleasant, maybe, but even though we do have that grand trine in there, still it's going to be difficult. Still the choices that we have to make, the choices of who or what we're going to leave behind in order to move forward will be mentally challenging, to say the least. So with Mars then moving into its pre-shadow period on the 5th, we need to really start paying attention. So this is a time, when those cancery, Marsy things, emotional needs, anger, frustration is going to really be popping up, because we have Mars just really just hitting home and just staying in that sign until really February 23rd. So if you have a lot going on in Cancer, if it's your sun, moon, rising sign, or anything with a lot of planets, expect to really get a big feel of this, and expect this to really hit home, or any of the cardinal signs really, because all the other cardinal signs will be either squared or opposition. So things that are happening this month will really last us through the new year. So the Mars retrograde, the Jupiter stationing, Pluto stationing, the eclipse square to Mars, the full moon in Aries is all very just drilling down on us in these, especially the cardinal signs, because a lot of this is happening in the cardinal signs, and mutable too, because looking at the Jupiter one, Jupiter isn't quite so harsh, because Jupiter's usually known as like a benefic, a nice planet, but in those cardinal signs you are going to feel a lot of this pressure, this kind of kick in the ass motivation, and just things like that. The Mars on the 4th, actually we're going to go back a little bit. On the 4th, Venus and Saturn will be trine, and that becomes exact as Saturn is retrograde. So it can be really, this is a nice trine for really kind of getting back, going back old school. So maybe putting your phones down, and talking to each other, not visiting and just having the other person looking at the top of your head. It's revisiting your old morals and your values, and it's a great time for new commitments, and really getting back with family and reminiscing about old times. You might have kind of lost your way a little bit. This is how you're gonna kind of find your way back again. So on the 6th, we have Mercury squaring Mars. So this is harsh words. This is mudslinging, arguments, and that is going to really intensify. But, of course, with the election season, this mudslinging and harsh words against each other is crazy. And, even about if you're not running, it's, the people who you're rooting for. You hear a lot of people just, mudslinging against the other side. But this can really get extinguished with Venus trining Mars on the 8th. So it could just be a couple days. Mercury does move quickly, but then Venus comes in and trines it. So it seems this month, what I found really interesting is that every harsh aspect has a kinder one following it to kind of ease that tension. So it's like, and then it's like, okay. So, we have that grand trine with the eclipse, but then the eclipse squares Mars. So we have a little good and a little bad. So I don't expect everything to be so bad. I think, a lot of things are going to get tense. A lot of things are going to get a little crazy, but I think it's going to then be extinguished by these a little bit calmer, nicer aspects. The Venus trine after the Mercury square, this whole thing, the month really reminds me of those sour gummy bear commercials where the first, it goes up to the girl and cuts her hair off, and then it's all sweet, and afterwards. So it's that, it's that salty or that sour, then sweet. And it could also be an emotional roller coaster because we do have that Mars in Cancer, and our Libra harmony that we really try to keep during Libra season is really going to be put to the test. So, expect the scales to really get tipped, and to really, trying to find that balance might be kind of difficult. But remember, the themes that pop up this month will be key factors in the months to come. So again, these aspects are ones that will be continuing on with Mars going retrograde for so long, and then we have Jupiter going retrograde, and everything's just, and so is Saturn, and so we have a lot of retrograde movement going on. So a lot of things are going to be kind of drawn out. Jupiter stationing on the 9th is going to really just drill down on that 21st degree of Gemini. So that's right where my Saturn is, in my 6th house. So yeah, Jupiter isn't always so nice because it's really been expanding my aches and pains. I have ligament issues because it is right on my Saturn, which rules ligaments and things like that. And my knee has been just awful. So I don't even know what's wrong with it. It pops. I can't sit for a long time. So Jupiter can expand negativity as well. So you want to keep that in mind, and especially when it's just drilling down on that one area. So if you have something in Gemini around that degree, I would expect it to be emphasized no matter what it is, really. On the 11th, Pluto will station also to go direct for its final pass through the end of Capricorn, those last degrees. So really say your goodbyes to, maybe you enjoyed Pluto in Capricorn. I know I have. It was in my first house, and it really transformed me as a person. I gotta say, it wasn't harsh for me. Yeah, some things were difficult, but I grew, and I think I've become a really better person. And it is about, out with the old and in with the new, and it's that total transformation. Unlike a Uranus, which is just like a quick, this is a slow gradual growth and rise up out of your ashes, kind of that cocoon emerging. So say your goodbye. We won't see this again for the rest of our lives because we're not going to live to be 200 and something years old. So this is going to be the last that we see Pluto in Capricorn, and until November 19th, when that's permanent into Aquarius. So it will also separate from its Pluto return with the United States right after the election. So that, I think, is going to be very interesting, because what do we have in store after this election? What's going to change within our country, our government, and whatever else could be on the horizon? And it's a little bit scary, and it's a little bit exciting because it just kind of depends on how everything goes, I think. So I don't know. We keep our fingers crossed that things go in a positive direction. So on the 14th, the Sun will square Mars, as Venus then opposes Uranus. So mid-month, we really start ramping things up. We really start ramping up these more intense, and this doesn't end until the end of the month. So this brings a lot of fiery kind of sexual energy because the Sun scoring Mars, and then we have Venus and Uranus. So sexual energies cause one to do something reckless or impulsive. So be careful where this is in your chart, of course, because you don't want to do anything stupid that's going to come back and haunt you. And also, this might be shocking few weeks through the end of the month, because with the full moon in Aries happening on the 17th, the Mercury Uranus opposition coming up, and also, you want to remember what happened with those other, with the other Mercury Uranus squares. We had, Biden stepping down, we had RFK stepping down, and just a lot of things coming out in the news. We had assassination attempts, and that was with Mars, but we have a lot of Mars going on as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have more crazies doing crazy things. So the full moon in Aries on the 17th will not disappoint for a full moon in this witching month of October. So we will still have the moon square to Mars, except it'll be at the opposite square. But they're going to be in a mutual reception. So that means that Mars is in the moon ruled sign of Cancer, and then the moon is in Aries, which is the Mars ruled sign. So that's what you call mutual reception. So to me, it's like dating myself a little bit, I know, but that show Wife Swap. So it's where the two wives would switch places and go and live in the other's house, which is completely different than their house. So it's like one person that was maybe super rich and had, butlers and everything. The other one maybe lived on a farm and had to do everything physical for themselves. And so it kind of reminds me of that, because then it could also be a very much of a learning experience where you can almost empathize with the other side, which you didn't understand the other side before. But this maybe, with the tension and fireworks that might be going on because of the difficulties you're having understanding it, it can be, it can lead us to an understanding of the other side ultimately. So if you watch that show, that's always how it ended. It was like, oh, I understand now, and everything's all great, and sometimes it wasn't. This can be especially poignant here in the United States as we go closer to the election, because this is really getting close. This is not the last lunation before before the election. There is another one coming up, but I think on the 2nd. But it's still going to be very poignant for the United States, and it could be a key factor in the results in general, just of how things all work out. The sun will then square Pluto just before ingressing into Scorpio on the 22nd. So it really brings this Scorpio season in with a bang. And Scorpio is that other Mars ruled sign. So yes, more Mars. So you could say more aggression. You could say more, that intensity, that obsession, compulsion. With Halloween just around the corner, it can bring a lot of, I would say, frights, a lot of shakeups. So really pay attention to where this falls in your chart, and see how this might affect you, and especially if you have things going on in the late degrees of the cardinal signs, Libra and Capricorn, of course, too, because they are square. So Mars in Cancer will then sextile Uranus on the 24th. So, and then it will then trine Neptune on the 28th. So this is a little more kinder. So we see a little bit of sweet again after the sour. So be careful. Be careful of being a little too thrill seeking, because we have Uranus in there, and how that can be. Mars Uranus, even though it's a sextile, even though it's a nice aspect, can bring maybe not so nice things if you don't use it properly, I guess you could say. So especially when you're really unsure of the safety of something, if any kind of flags pop up, because we do have Neptune in there too, which can give us that intuition. So if something just doesn't seem right, then it's not right, and stay away. And just don't put anything at risk, because this always can be risky. So be careful when doing things, because but it can really spice up the sex life, I've got to say. So you're going to be highly sensitive, highly experimental, and just, I guess, maybe raring to go. So You know, maybe if it falls that way, will be kind of nice, especially if you're not doing anything wrong, then, you know, could be right. So anyway, this is also a great time for Halloween fun. So, you know, going out on haunted houses and getting, you know, scared on purpose and having things jump out at you. That's very Mars Uranus, like, but it's a happy scare and not a terrifying, I'm going to be murdered scare. It's just like a happy, oh my goodness, and you know, things that you don't see coming. There's that Neptune in there. You're maybe going through, you know, dark hallways, very haunty housey this few days. And of course, 'tis the season, right? Hay rides, other safe, fun activities can be just what you need to satiate those Marsy urges for excitement. So maybe if, you know, instead of doing something daring and careless, you want to do something more fun and, you know, go to a haunted house or do something like that, you know, a haunted hayride, lots of things. We got a haunted trolley museum close by here. So all sorts of fun things you can do to kind of, you know, put that to a more positive, you know, place. So on the 30th, we finish up the month, one day before Halloween, with Mercury in opposition to Uranus. Now, the Mercury-Uranus cycle has really proven to be extraordinary. I mean, actually the whole last cycle we had two, you know, assassination attempts. We have these crazy election shakeups, like I said, with Biden dropping out, RFK dropping out. What could it mean for our candidates? Now, Uranus is still sitting on Trump's MC, so keep that in mind with that algol in there as well, which can, again, signal maybe some scary close calls or something, you know, news popping up of something crazy happening here about something, maybe something planned, or, you know, again, maybe email or something like that. Especially with Mercury is on his IC, that's the lowest part of the chart, and it's also in a T-square to his natal Mars and his ascendant, basically. So that could be potentially bad, you know, but Uranus usually isn't too bad for him. But will it be another close call, or could it be worse? Or, you know, maybe it'll just be some, you know, more news about him being indicted for something else. Who knows? With Trump, you just don't know. For Kamala Harris, though, Uranus is on her Jupiter. So could this benefit her in a way? So we'll just have to wait and see. So this month will be interesting, to say the least. So please let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, subscribe, of course, and hit that notification bell to get notified of future videos. And if you're looking for your own personal reading about all this stuff is happening, because a lot of this month's things are going to be personal, because it's Mars, it's Venus, it's, you know, full moons, it's a lot of the personal planets, also Mercury. So a lot of this is going to be personal. If you want to see how this might work for you and how this might work out in your chart, then feel free to contact me at astrology@gmail.com with your birth time, place, and date. Let me know what you're looking for, and maybe we can set up a reading. So I would love to hear from you guys, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.